Good evening. I will now call to order the regular City Council meeting of April 14th, 2025. Members of the public are invited to attend in-person meetings in council chambers. Public access is also available by telephone by using the call-in numbers posted on the meeting agenda, and tonight's meeting will be broadcast on the city's YouTube channel online. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Leidy will be absent. Mayor Pro Tem Luke Manjaro-Massa.
Here.
Councilmember Burns. Here. Councilmember Jaramillo.
Here.
Councilmember Kondo.
Here.
Councilmember Roper. Here. Councilmember Goff.
Here.
Councilmember Nowicki.
Here.
Councilmember Walker.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Manager Geyer, are there any responses to resident inquiries?
Nothing this evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Going once, going twice? Nope. Great. We are now moving into public invited to be heard. This is an opportunity for public comment on any item not set for public hearing. Statements are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Statements must be related to city business and limited to matters of community interest. City Clerk Small, is there anyone signed up to speak to council tonight?
Yes, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, there's one person on the list, and that is Tom Lampo.
Thank you. Hello, Tom. Please come forward, state your name and address, you know the deal, and your ward, and please provide your comments to council.
All right, thank you very much. I'm Tom Lampo, 3951 Jackson Way, no ward. It's good to be here in Northglenn and to see everyone. Adam, congratulations on your new baby. To you, I want to give Proverbs 22:6, which states, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." So tonight, as usual, I'm here to lift up the city of Northglenn in prayer. Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, in Jesus' precious name, we invite you here to the city of Northglenn. All praise, glory, and honor be to you. Have your way in our city. Be present with us and bring us peace. Guide your hand and bring solutions to our problems. We're your people, and we have an expectant heart for your miracles. This is your city, and you have placed our elected officials here to do your will. Guide them in their decisions. Let your word come alive. Proverbs 21:1 states, "The king's heart is like channels of water in the hand of the Lord. He turns it wherever he pleases." Guide the hearts of our elected officials so all their decisions glorify your name. This will ensure their decisions will be correct for all people. Father, you created us as people who cannot see into the future. Our view of life is limited to past and present. The future is uncertain for us. Guide us in all we do with Philippians 4:6-7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. As we rely on your word, bring us peace. You are our God, and we are your people. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen. Thank you, guys. Have a nice night.
Is there anyone on the phone who would like to speak to council? You may press *6 to unmute yourself at this time. As per usual, doesn't look like anybody is there. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak to council? You did not have a chance to sign up? If so, please come forward, state your name, address, or ward. It looks like we do not have anyone. Great. So the first item we have tonight, we have a couple of interviews, and we have Kimberly Bauer, who interviewed for the Northglenn Urban Renewal Authority, and I did have the pleasure of being a part of that interview during the NURA meeting. I would like to invite Kimberly to come forward to be interviewed by City Council for the vacant commissioner position on NURA. Please come forward, Kimberly. Welcome. So Kimberly interviewed on February 12th and was recommended wholeheartedly by NURA. Thanks for being here. Would love if you could just talk a little bit about yourself and why you wanted to be on the NURA board, and then we'll open it up for any questions.
Sure, yeah. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. It's good to see you again. My name's Kim Bauer. Yeah, I'm just excited to be able to have the opportunity to potentially serve my community. As you'll see from probably my packet or my application that kind of started this all, right? I do work in local government. I'm a proud public servant in my career, but I also would like to extend that to be a public servant in my private life. So as a resident of Northglenn, I'm excited to be able to get to serve. I currently have the honor of serving on your Historic Preservation Commission, and so this would just be a second opportunity. You know, there's a number of things that interest me about urban renewal areas, and so this is a great opportunity for me to learn more, certainly, and then also hopefully, you know, give back in some of the ways of my skills that I've learned in my career as a planner and then plans examiner, so kind of the planning department and building department. So I'll kind of leave it there and happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from council or any comments? Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. So thank you for serving, Ms. Bowers. And my question is, it looks like you're a fairly recent transplant coming into Northglenn. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yep, I moved here at the beginning of 2023.
Gotcha. And just kind of curious, what kinds of things that you find appealing or attractive about our city?
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite parts is obviously the location, but for me in particular, you know, I live in the Fox Run area, so I'm a walking distance to the RTD line, so transportation is great. I'm probably more walkable now in Northglenn than I was in my neighborhood that I lived in, at least in particular in Denver, so, you know, you can take the train and go downtown, but I also like the community, obviously, serving on the Historic Preservation Commission. Not only did I know some, but now I've gotten the chance to learn more about Northglenn's history, and I just think it's the mid-century modern appeal, right, the kind of post-World War II boom that Northglenn really represents, at least historically, is something that really intrigues me, and I still see tenets of that, and I'm proud to live in a place that has that. So those would be some first things that come to mind for sure.
Great, thank you. And I'm not going to ask you which your allegiance is, whether it's Louisville or Northglenn, but
Northglenn, of course.
we think we are the little city that can, the mighty tiny city. Well, we're not so tiny anymore, but
Yeah.
we're still mighty, I think. So thank you for stepping forward, though.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Roper.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Kimberly, it's great to see you. I know I appreciate all the work that you've put into the Historic Preservation Commission, and she joined right away. I think you were barely a brand new resident here, and you joined and really have added some expertise and just insight to that committee. So I look forward to working with you further. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Goff.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just wanted to welcome a fellow Illinoisan. So I'm glad that we have you here, and I know you're just going to love living in this. Well, you've been here for a while now, but the weather's much, much better.
It's much, much better. Yes, I didn't think that, you know, winter would affect me until my last winter in Illinois. I didn't see the sun, I think it was for like 2 months straight. And I was like, okay, Colorado's got a little more sun. It's a little bit nicer.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from council? Does not look like it. I just wanted to say thank you. You were a very strong candidate for the NURA board, so I'm excited to be able to work with you personally also on the NURA board. So welcome and thank you for volunteering.
Me too. Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Oh, we have another one, exciting night. We have Joshua Sievers, I hope I said that right, interviewing for the Citizens Affairs Board. And Joshua interviewed with the Citizens Affairs Board on April 3rd and was recommended for appointment. Welcome, Joshua.
Thank you. Thank you, Council, Mayor Pro Tem. My name's Josh. So I moved here kind of similar to Kimberly. I'm originally from Illinois. I moved here in 2023, very early. I've been across the street past Webster Lake for the last 2 years. I've recently signed up for another 2-year lease, so I'm here for a while. And I plan to stay in Colorado as long as it makes sense. So I've met Councilmember Jay and Councilmember Nowicki at the neighborhood meeting in early March. I've come to the last 2 council meetings, and I'm just trying to get involved. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the world. So I initially lived in Illinois. I served in the Marine Corps in 3rd Battalion, 3rd Marines, deployed twice to Iraq. Then I moved to Boston for 12 years. So I've come here and I'm just looking to get involved in politics. I know this position is more of a citizens affairs. I have facilities management role at a senior living facility where every day I have to hear someone's issue, look for a solution, and then solve it. So I think I also hold town halls, resident councils, kind of the same thing. I have people I have to answer to, and if my word is not good, certainly I'll hear about it. So I just figured this was a good route in. Councilmember Nowicki recommended boards, so I looked at the boards. I saw Ward 2 had a vacancy, so I'm just trying to get involved. That's my story.
Wow, thank you so much, and thank you for your service. I come from a family of Marines myself, but thank you so much for your service, all service members. It looks like we do have some questions for you. So Councilmember Goff?
Well, thank you. It's not actually a question. I just wanted to say that I served on the Citizens Affairs Board before I decided to run for City Council. So it is a great way to get to know, get how the city is run and get to meet people and encourage you to continue on.
Yes, I just want to get involved. So wherever that leads, I have aspirations that go further than that, but certainly I'm not above any position. I'm just here to do some work and help the community. It's basically another way to serve the country. I've always wanted to do politics in the future, but I think, now's the time to get involved, so I'm doing just that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kondo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Severs, thank you for serving. I'm also a veteran myself, so Navy. So, but anyway.
Maybe.
Absolutely, we'll get you there. My question for you is, obviously, you're familiar with the military, the ombudsman sort of thing, and I'm just wondering if you kind of hit on it a little bit, talking about your style, but obviously, you get to be the listening post, and a lot of people will be expressing their grievances or venting on you. I wonder if you have any particular style or method in how you will effectively listen.
So, working in senior living, a lot of people just need someone to hear them out. Sometimes it's very legitimate, sometimes it's just someone to talk to. So that I would assume is gonna be very much like this role. I'm gonna get to know the community and hear their issues, and then I can do my best to bring that up to the correct people, send them in the right direction. I'm familiar with the ombudsman. I literally just had an Aurora Fire Department inspection today, surprise. So thankfully, everything went pretty good. I know that I have to keep my word, and I can't make promises I can't keep. So basically, I'm not gonna overstep my authority. I'm just here as an ear and someone to relay information to the people that can help address the issue.
Gotcha, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Nowicki?
Thank you, Josh, for being here. It was nice to talk to you and meet you during the ward meeting. Thank you again for your service previously and for being willing to step up now for our city. I look forward to having you in this role. Thank you.
Thank you. And congratulations on your child. We all know.
That is so true. Thank you. I don't see any other questions, but I would just like to say thank you so much, and of course to Kimberly for stepping up and volunteering. This is what we need. We need more residents to step up and be involved, to have a say. Often people will respond to something that we passed or that we did, and so this is the best way to be more involved and to make sure that your voice is heard. And I know the Citizens Affairs Board definitely does that. So I just want to say thank you to both of you for volunteering your time. Thank you. Give me 1 second. Wonderful. Okay, so we have 4 proclamations. I hope you guys are ready, brought your standing shoes. I would like to invite all of you to meet me down off the dais for the proclamations. And I'm bringing water to read 4 of them. little bit out of order today, as you can tell. Okay, well, welcome everyone. We have 4 amazing proclamations, and the first one is National Volunteer Week, which is April 20th through the 26th of 2025, and we have members of the city's flowerbed partners who will be accepting this proclamation. So if you're here, please come forward. Come here, all the way here. Right here, you guys are the center of attention right now. You can stand right here as well. I know I have a list of 6 people, but there's a couple of you. Okay, I would love if you just quickly introduce yourself.
My name is Judith Halverson. I've had my flower bed for, this will be the 20th year. It's on the east side of Ruby Rains.
Wow.
And I've lived in Northland for 53 years.
53 years. Thank you for being here.
Hi, my name is Karen Knipfer, and I've lived in Northland for 46 years, I think. And I've had my flower beds for 25. Wow. I started with Boy Scouts.
And then, of course, we have the wonderful Community Outreach Director, Jenna Gregg. Okay. I brought my water because there's 4 of them. Whereas National Volunteer Week is an opportunity to recognize the impact of volunteers whose acts of service build stronger communities and contribute to a collective force strong enough to transform the world. And whereas the sharing of time, skills, empathy, and creativity is vital to the strength and well-being of our community. Volunteers contribute exponentially to the quality of life we all wish to experience. And whereas, through giving freely of themselves, volunteers also receive life enrichment, students gain real-world experience, professionals and hobbyists develop new skills and partnerships, and older Americans vastly improve their health and longevity. At every age and life stage, volunteers experience the profound joy that comes from giving. And whereas, Northland volunteers devote thousands of hours each year serving on boards and commissions, volunteering with city departments, and contributing to parks and trails, neighborhood beautification, the bike donation, flowerbed partners, and snowstormer programs, among various other opportunities. And whereas last year, over 750 volunteers supported 10 projects and programs across 5 city departments, providing more than 9,700 hours of public service, and creating an impact valued at more than $230,000. And whereas City Council wishes to express deep gratitude for the individuals, groups, and businesses that have selfishly devoted time, energy, and resources to the community through these generous acts of service. Now, therefore, I, Shannon Lukman Hiromasa, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Northland, Colorado, do hereby proclaim the week of April 20th through the 26th, 2025, as National Volunteer Week in the City of Northland. Please join us in recognizing and thanking those who share their time, talent, and voice to truly make a difference in our community. Dated at Northland, Colorado, this 14th day of April, 2025. I have one for each of you. And one for you as well. I would love to invite you to say a little bit more about your volunteer experience or anything that you would just like to add. We're so grateful for you.
My bed is on the east side of E.B. Rains Park. Like I said, I've had it for 20 years, and we've had ups and downs, but I look forward to it every year. It's fun.
Thank you. Do you like to say? Sure. Go for it.
Okay, this all started because I was a Boy Scout leader, and we needed some community service, so I signed up with flower beds, and the boys helped for a very short time. I think my son was 11, and now he's 36. So, Anyway, I've had 2 beds, one at the ballpark and the one JC signage. And they're close enough that it's easy to do. And I usually do it by myself, but sometimes the grandkids can help. And then I love to hear people that are bringing their dogs to the park to say how beautiful the flowers are.
Wow, thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I am very fortunate to work with many of the volunteers throughout our city, and I chose our flower bed partners to highlight this year because I've been in this role a year and a half now, and just getting to know these folks over the past year. A lot of them, as you've heard, have been around for 20 years or more and are kind of some unsung heroes that we have. We only have one horticulturalist who helps to grow all the flowers, but our flower bed partners show up and help us plant and help us tend over 25 beds throughout the entire city. So the fact that we've got folks who come back year after year is amazing, and especially folks who have lived here in their community for so long. So I love this program. We've got so many more programs in the city. If you want to be a part of it, northglen.org/volunteer. I can help you out. Gotta put the plug in.
And thank you to the 2 volunteers who signed up for our new boards today and commission.
She didn't tell you about the photo card? All right, you guys want to make a space with your, you need to get closer. Okay. Good. All right, do you guys want to hold open the proclamation? Oh, sure. Look official. Do you want to see this one? Yeah. All right, everybody ready? Yeah, just keep smiling, don't blink. I like to take a few. All right, thank you.
See you too. Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all your work. They're beautiful. I love that.
Okay, our next proclamation is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, April 2025. And we have lead victim advocate Rachel Walton and sexual assault advocate Cindy Rodriguez, who are here to accept the proclamation. Please come forward. Welcome. Thank you for being here. So nice to meet you. Whereas Sexual Assault Awareness Month is a time to address the widespread issue of sexual violence and empower communities to act. And whereas sexual assault is a pervasive crime that affects individuals of all ages, backgrounds, and identities, and has long-lasting effects on survivors, their families, and communities. And whereas statistics show that over 53% of women and 29% of men report experiencing sexual violence, 29% of Black women, 34.8% of Hispanic women, 84.3% of Indigenous women, 32.9% of adults with intellectual disabilities, and 47% of all transgender people have been sexually assaulted at some point in their lives. And whereas it is critical to promote education about body autonomy and consent, healthy communication, and bystander intervention to prevent violence before it starts. And whereas it is also important to amplify the voices of survivors, especially those most vulnerable in our community. Their experiences must be heard and acknowledged. Their stories must guide or should guide our efforts to combat sexual violence in all its forms. And whereas the 2025 theme for Sexual Assault Awareness Month is Together We Act, United We Change, which calls for the involvement of all individuals, organizations, and public institutions to create a culture of respect, equality, justice, and safety for all. Now, therefore, I, Shannon Lukman-Hiromasa, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Northglen, do hereby proclaim April 2025 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in the city of Northglenn. Please join us in reaffirming our commitment to supporting survivors, educating our community, and building a future where everyone is safe, valued, and respected. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this 14th day of 2025. This is for you. Welcome. Thank you. So thank you so much for being here. This was actually a proclamation that I brought forward. I work a lot with sexual abuse survivors and also a lot on the prevention side, and am also co-chair of one of the committees for the Family Justice Center, which you're probably very familiar with. So I'm so happy for you to be here. I would love for you to say a little bit more about the work you do and why this proclamation is important.
So my name is Cindy Rodriguez, and I am a victim advocate with Northglenn Police Department. We serve Northglenn, Thornton, and Federal Heights Police Departments. My main focus is working with survivors of sexual assault. So what that means is when officers respond on scene, we are there as well. So we are there from the moment this case gets reported to the moment there's any sort of decision, whether that's at the district attorney's, whatever that looks like, right? We're there for them. And I forgot what you asked.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, we're just very grateful to be a part of this police department, and without the support of the city council, we wouldn't be able to do the work that we do and supporting victims, residents of Northglenn.
I also just wanted to thank you for the work you do, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, the city council members, and then the residents. We as advocates would not be able to provide the resources and services to survivors of sexual assault without the support from everyone here. So thank you so much, everybody that's in this room.
I just want to add the work you do is so important. I know that every single person, every single council member here up on the dais is in full support of everything you do, and we're so grateful. All right, let's take a picture. So you can stand in the middle and hold your proclamation. Do this all the time.
I love how the first time I have to tell everybody what to do, but then the second time everybody just does it. All right, smile, say cheese.
Cheese. Tacos.
Tacos are good too. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next proclamation is in honor of Arbor Day, April 25th, 2025. We have Senior Arborist Technician Joel Szymanski and Arborist Technician Louis Vadine, who will accept the proclamation. Please step forward. Welcome and thank you for being here. You've seen everybody else do it, right? You understand. I'm so glad to have you guys here. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with a planting of more than 1 million trees in the state of Nebraska. And whereas 2025 is the 153rd anniversary of Arbor Day, which is now observed throughout the nation and the world as a time-honored tradition that celebrates the importance of trees and encourages their planting, preservation, and care. And whereas Northglenn cherishes its trees as a valuable natural resource that improves air and water quality, decreases energy costs, reduces stormwater runoff, decreases soil erosion, provides habitat for wildlife, reduces noise levels, contributes to the healing of our environment, and adds to the natural beauty of the city. And whereas Northglenn has been designated Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation for the past 34 years. And whereas this year, the city will partner with Colorado Tree Coalition to celebrate Arbor Day by hosting the Leaf a Legacy Tree Sale, which offers residents the opportunity to purchase affordable trees to increase both tree diversity and density while maximizing the many benefits trees provide. And whereas we are committed to environmental stewardship and acknowledge the invaluable contributions trees make to our overall quality of life. As trees support our well-being in so many ways, it's important that we care for and nurture them, ensuring they thrive for future generations to enjoy. Now, therefore, I, Shannon Lukman Hiromasa, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of North Glen, Colorado, hereby proclaim April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day in the City of North Glen, and urge all residents to join in the observance by participating in the Leaf a Legacy program, planting trees, and committing to the continued care and conservation of these treasured assets. Dated at North Glen, Colorado, this 14th day of April 2025. Thank you so much. I would love for both of you or either one of you to say a few words. Tree City, USA.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'd also like to thank Council for your continued support for our tree program. I'd also like to thank the residents of the City of North Glen for their interest and their support for the trees in our city. This really says a lot. The 24th year of Tree City USA, I'd like to announce that it's now 35 years. 35 years now for the year 2024. And I'll let Louis talk a little bit about our Arbor Day, but I would also like to plug, go out and buy a tree. We have a couple days left for our sale. And with that, I'll let Louis talk about Arbor Day.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, Council. Thank you, residents, like Joel said, for supporting this program. I think we can all agree trees are great. I don't think there's any more I can say that wasn't proclaimed. I would be an honor for you all to join us next week as we're celebrating Arbor Day just over here at Festival Lawn. We'll be planting a few trees with the oldest and youngest members of our community, our seniors and our preschoolers. So please take the opportunity to join us, get your hands dirty, and do a service that will benefit not just the future members of our community, but all the wildlife and pollinators that exist with us. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. The important work that they do. Obviously, we love our trees.
Thank you.
All right, smile, say trees.
Trees.
All right, thank you.
Wonderful home stretch. We have the Monarch Flyway Conservation Day Proclamation for April 22nd, 2025. We have community volunteers Brandon Brocate and Michelle Hoops and park rangers Karen Keeney and Megan Wells who will accept this proclamation. And look at this amazing backdrop and display that we have. Wow, this is beautiful. Okay, please come forward. Our volunteers. Do we have anyone? There. Thank you so much for being here. Okay. Whereas The monarch butterfly is an iconic North American species whose multi-generational migration and metamorphosis from caterpillar to butterfly has captured the imagination of millions of Americans. And whereas we are deeply concerned about the decline of the monarch butterfly population, less than 1% of the western monarch population remains, while the eastern population has fallen by as much as 90%. And whereas monarch scientists attribute the population decline to the degradation and loss of habitat in the US and in south central Mexico. And whereas the migration route of the monarch butterfly, which spans the length of our continent from Mexico to Canada, is celebrated as the Monarch Flyway. Habitat conservation along this route is essential for the survival of the species. And whereas on March 10th, 2025, Mayor Leidy signed the National Wildlife Federation Mayor's Monarch Pledge on behalf of the City of Northland to illustrate our commitment to the conservation of the Monarch Flyway and declare our intent to create garden spaces designed specifically for monarch butterflies and other pollinators within city limits, city parks, and public spaces, and to offer educational programs promoting awareness and engagement in habitat conservation efforts. Now, therefore, I, Shannon Lukman Hiromasa, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Northland, Colorado, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2025, as Monarch Flyway Conservation Day in the City of Northland. I invite residents and community stakeholders to join these efforts to ensure the proliferation of the monarch butterfly and other pollinator populations among the monarch butterfly for decades to come. Dated at Northland, Colorado, this 14th day of April 2025. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. This is only one, right? Oh, we have more? Yes. I knew I had another one. There's one for you as well, for the park rangers. All right. I would love to have you, one or all of you, speak a little bit about what you are doing for the monarch butterflies and about this beautiful display.
So yeah, we volunteer with the Urban Prairies Project. It's through the Butterfly Pavilion. We do a lot of open space restoration. We did the native garden at Fox Run. So yeah, plant milkweed. We'll be doing a native plant giveaway May 17th. We'll have some milkweed. So come out and get some free natives. Okay.
I want to thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem and Council, for your support of this endeavor. We've already had 2 pollinator programs just this last week with some after-school programs. And so we're very excited to bring a lot more pollinator programs highlighting the monarch butterfly this year. There's going to be lots of efforts that you'll see come through with seed giveaways and lots more programming. So we're very excited. The Ranger team put together this backdrop because we just think it's beautiful and the monarch is gorgeous. The reason it's known is not just its bright colors, it's because it's got the most amazing longevity. It can travel like 3,000 miles in its migratory pattern from northern Canada to central Mexico. So it's really a feat, and I think this tiny town can do major feats on this as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I know this was a very important project for our mayor, so thank you so much for being here. And it is important to all of us as well, so very exciting, very exciting.
Okay, I think I can get the butterfly, like, Ranger goes to the right with them, you go to the right. My right, I'm sorry. And you get to go this way a little bit more. I think I can get most of the butterfly. There we go. All right. Okay, everybody smile. Say flutter. Flutter. Okay, I'm gonna take one from this side just in case it doesn't turn out. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Smile. All right, thank you.
You can just leave it there.
I see what you're trying to do.
That was beautiful. All right, moving into communications, we'll start with Ward 1, Councilmember Burns.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. It's been a minute, but I don't have that much to talk about because Councilmember Walker will be doing the report out on, Mayor Pro Tem Luke Manir-Massa will be doing the report on Ledge Committee tonight. So way back, sometime in March, I attended the Made in Adams County event at Prost, which was very cool. We got to meet with local businesses going on with Adams County, and Prost was the highlight. They talked about how they're continuing to expand and grow, so nothing but on the up and up for Prost, so very exciting. I unfortunately had to miss our Youth Commission meeting, and they are just continuing to do great things. I gave my report into Cassie Riggle, who gave it to the council, and I promoted our video that we made on our recommitment to our values, which they loved. A bunch of the folks attended Breakfast Under the Dome with our legislative team, which was great. I was also out of town for CCP Community Co-Policing Board, but they continue to move forward with the Blue Envelope program and a bunch of other really cool things coming out. So that is all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Walker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I just want to thank Tom Lampo for his kind words, as always. I want to thank Ms. Shannon here for letting me speak on this, as this would usually be covered in her legislative update. However, this one is near and dear to me, and so thank you. House Bill 1147, called the Fairness and Transparency Act, has some items in there that I think most people would like to see the legislative body work on in future sessions. There is a part of the bill, while I disagree with it personally, the city officially and the legislative committee strongly disagree with. The issues that are concerning include telling our local courts what kind of sentences they can hand out. This is a clear violation of home rule authority, which we have. This is also an attempt by Denver and legislators from other parts of the state to tell us what is best for North Glen. So the city, along with the mayor's signature, and on behalf of the legislative committee, will be sending a veto request to the governor on House Bill 1147. This is similar to other stances we have taken, and I'd like our city attorney to elaborate on that if he could, please.
Certainly. In addition to the veto request, the issue related to municipal court authority and home rule authority is actually going to be considered by the Colorado Supreme Court in less than a month, or in almost exactly a month from now, a City of Aurora case and a City of Westminster case. And ultimately, this is about, again, as Councilmember Walker indicated, home rule authority, and really whether the court that is closest to the people, in this case, North Glen's municipal court, is best equipped to deal with the city's issues. And penalties is one of the issues, but there's many others related to municipal court jurisdiction, which, as Councilmember Walker mentioned, are under attack.
Thank you, City Attorney Hoffman. I have no further updates at this time.
Thank you, Councilmember Walker and City Attorney Hoffman, for elaborating on that. We are in clear agreement on the legislative committee, so thank you. Councilmember Jaramillo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. On Thursday, March 27th, I attended the NATA meeting. That's the North Area Transportation Alliance. And that's just, there's a lot of, I'm going to speak more about it when I get to AgCog. But we also had a ribbon cutting for Murphy USA Gas on Washington and Sylvia. And also on this Wednesday, April the 9th, we had the ADCOG Sub-Regional Transportation meeting. And there's some good news there, is that the end line is going to be extending to State Highway 7. So we will be having more of that, being able to go more north. So it's a great opportunity for us. So that the new station will be on 162nd and Colorado Boulevard. Give me a moment, please. Thank you. And also, there's going to be expansions on I-25 on the shoulders from US 36 to 104th. And I'm hoping that'll stop a lot of the traffic that we have that goes through here in Northglenn. As you know, it starts to pack up from 104th north and well, in each direction, but it does seem to stack up here in our city. So that's some good news. And there is going to be a meeting with staff and elected officials, and I wanted to know if staff has any priorities that we'd like to, elevate to staff and council that we'd like to elevate for the next 4-year cycle for ADCOG sub-regional transportation. So we have up until, let's see, let me see if I can find it, one moment. So it's going to be in the first week of May. We'll be submitting presentations for projects we'd like to see in our city or in collaboration with neighboring cities. So I'd like to know that if we would like to move forward to anything, and also if there's going to be staff present at both the NADA and ADCOG meetings for transportation in the future. Excuse me. And on April 10th, I attended the Business After Hours at Boondocks hosted by Economic Development, and it was a great opportunity for networking for business owners and staff. I am myself a business owner. I'm an artist and muralist outside of being on city council, so it was a lot of fun to be able to meet with other Northglenn businesses and really, show that we appreciate them being, having their business here in the city of Northglenn. And finally, on Friday, last Friday, which was the 11th, we had the Primavera Art Show at Northglenn's own Lucille Rivera Art Gallery. It's located on the south end of the Recreation Center at the Parsons Theater. It was hosted by Northglenn Arts in collaboration with CHOC. That's the Chicano Humanities Arts Council. And if you missed it, no worries. The show's going to be going on until June 27th. And there's plenty of pollinator artwork there as well. So it's titled Primavera, which means spring in Spanish. So we encourage you to check it out. There's over 20 artists that are in the art show, anywhere from Pueblo. We have people from Castle Rock, from Fairplay, all over. Even here in Northglenn, we have a couple artists. So we'd like for you to check it out. And we're glad that we're able to, bring some very quality artwork programming here in Northglenn, and encourage you all to check it out. It's going to be up for a while, so yep, we hope you can make it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Councilmember Jaramillo. Was there anything specifically that we needed to give consensus on for that, or that staff needed more direction on? Are we good?
No, Mayor Pro Tem. Director Savota will make sure that staff attends the NADA and ADCOG meetings. I don't have information at hand in terms of the city advancing any specific projects. Director Savota did indicate that he had not been aware about the end line extension, so he'll definitely follow up with RTD to get additional information on that piece that Councilmember Jaramillo reported out on, because that could be a future presentation to council. And so no direction is needed. We'll make sure that staff provides support at future meetings.
Great, and great news. Good information. Thank you so much, Councilmember Jaramillo. Councilmember Nowicki.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. It's nice to be with you again. I want to share a few updates here. First of all, thank you to the city staff and my fellow DISE members for the gifts and well wishes regarding the birth of my second kiddo. Everyone's doing well, albeit a little sleep deprived, but that's par for the course. On March 22nd, I attended the Farmers Highline Canal cleanup, so thank you for all the city staff and residents that came out. It's always fun to kind of dig in the muck a bit. I'm not sure how much trash we collected, but I know it was quite a bit, so appreciate everyone coming out to that. I also, Councilmember Jaramillo discussed this. In Ward 2, we had a ribbon cutting for the Murphy gas station located on Sylvia and Washington, which I attended. That was nice, and we want to welcome them to the community. Lastly, on April 7th, I attended right here in council chambers, the Adams County Mayors and Commissioners Youth Awards. So thank you for the fellow DISE members that were there as well, and the city staff again for hosting that and for hosting the reception afterward. Congrats to all the students, the student award recipients, their families, and the community members who nominated them. It's always special to be a part of that and to see kind of the resilience and strength of the students. I believe that is all from me. Again, if any residents have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. So first of all, the Mayor Pro Tem and I attended the Dr. Cog offsite workshop and dinner last Friday, Saturday. And it was quite an interesting sort of experience. The invited guest speaker for the dinner was two mentalists that are based here in Colorado. And they were quite amazing in terms of their sleight of hands and tricks and things of that nature, supposedly able to read our minds. But we did get to work on the Saturday, and that was really in some part to review and look at the MetroVision document, which is the best way I can describe it when it was adopted in 2017 is it's a master plan roadmap for future development intentions across the Denver metro area. So Dr. Cog, it stands for, it's not a person, it's not a doctor, it stands for Denver Region Council of Governments. And this master plan is part of their stated goals and objectives to help make sure that the 59 cities and counties in the Denver metro area are working somewhat in alignment when it comes to development of transportation networks, roads, mass transit, the whole ecosystem in support of our aged, that sort of thing. So work is now starting to address a couple of sections that are a little bit dated so we can bring them more up to date. But I don't want to spend much more on that. But if you are interested in learning and knowing more, please come see me. A couple other things. One, I think today is a very interesting day in history. If you haven't noted that this morning, Gail King, who was a announcer, broadcaster on CBS Mornings, along with 6 other women, went up to space in the Blue Origin spacecraft. It was the first all-women space flight. So that's notable in history. And I think it's just really amazing that we're able to send a journalist to space to be able to share what that experience is like. It really must have been very inspirational and of course, having that leap of faith and courage to put yourself in a very dangerous place, all in the interest of expanding our discovery of where we live. And then the last thing I wanted to share, again, a newsworthy item, I suppose, but Alan Simpson, who was a senator from Wyoming, he had been the senator for quite a number of years, passed last month. And I just wanted to share one quote from him because he has been noteworthy in terms of saying some pretty profound things. I guess you would call it deep thoughts. And I'm just doing this in the interest of sharing this with the public. Telling the truth is the essence of leadership. If you have integrity, nothing else matters. if you don't have integrity, nothing else matters. And I just, when he passed and they talked about that quote that he said, and this was many years ago, so I'm probably dating myself, it just really rung out to me how important it is now more than ever to really have integrity and to demonstrate that and live by that principle in these very uncertain times. Madam Mayor Pro Tem, that's all I have to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Kondo. And Councilmember Burns, would you like to add something real quick?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Walker and I also had our ward meeting. It was a few weeks ago. A lot has happened since then. But we just wanted to acknowledge that. Thank everyone who came out. We had really good attendance for Ward 1. Are going to host a community meeting about traffic calming measures after that. And yeah, it was a good time, but we just wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. There's a lot going on. It's okay. So much. All right, Councilmember Goff.
Thank you. Let's see. Well, since last time I reported out, the DISE board met, and for those of you who don't know, that's the Diversity, Inclusivity, and Social Equity Board, and we'll have a new member being introduced here shortly. And part of that meeting, we discussed support and communication with the People's Powwow, and that's going to be taking place August 23rd here in North Glen. Don't really have any more details beyond that. Also, we did, the DISE board did vote to give some financial support to the Juneteenth event, which I will be talking about later on here. And also, and I apologize, I can't remember what LCAC stands for, Latin Community Arts Council or something like that. Is that close?
Sounds good. Latino Cultural Arts Center.
Okay, anyway, thank you. Anyway, we are going to be hosting another workshop that is sponsored by that group later in the year, so we don't have any details exactly on that. And we'd had some discussion about changing the date of and meeting place for the DISE board, but the vote came out that we were going to continue in the same place and same time. So if you're looking for us, that's where here's where we'll be on the last Tuesday of the month. And then the Juneteenth event that the city will be hosting here on June 19th, which is the middle of the week. I know it's Thursday in the summer, but they're, the National or the North Glen Arts is sponsoring a concert, and the DISE board is working with the Dream, Create, Inspire tour group to let's see. They're helping. We're helping them. They're helping us design an event to celebrate Black culture by providing Black artists, performers, and entrepreneurs. The event will serve as a space for economic empowerment, so there will be some vendors, artistic expression, community engagement, Black musicians, poets, and cultural leaders. So it's just from the planning, this is going to be a pretty amazing event. We're hoping to grow it in the future, so please come out on June 19th to help celebrate Juneteenth, and we'll be moving forward on that in the future, as far as I know. And I think that's probably about it for me, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Roper.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Okay, I have a lot. First, I'm going to give a shout out to Ms. Joanna in the city clerk's office. In my personal life, my daughter had the need for a passport, and so we filled out the application online. We made an appointment. It was so easy. This is a hidden gem in our city. We were literally in and out in 15 minutes, and she was on her way. And I really believe in listening to young people. They give us such insight. She said, "Mom, they are so much better than the DMV." So way to go, Miss Joanna. You're better than the DMV. So yes, please use it. It was so wonderful. It was painless. We had our Ward 4 community meeting, and we had that on April 5th. We had it here at City Hall, which was nice and wonderful. It was a little bit snowy, so I think that dampened our turnout a little bit. It was a little snowy and cold, but it was a great opportunity to really talk to our residents about their concerns around safety, around what's happening with speeding and the unhoused within our community. And so it was great to hear from them and really talk to the police department, what their plan is, and then just really put some things on our radar that we could do to support as well. On last Monday, we had the Adams County Mayor and Commission's Awards, Youth Awards, and that was wonderful. 22 students were celebrated, and it was so wonderful to hear their stories, just the inspiration of the obstacles they've overcome, the things that they've done for our community and for their families. And so it was wonderful to take the time to just really celebrate them. This week we had the Historic Preservation Commission, and the big thing we talked about was they've submitted a design for the DISE Estates sign. And so we're hoping to get that up and going this summer. So that's going to be very exciting, and it's going to look great. We also had Parks and Rec this week. We had a lot of vending permits come forward, so be on the lookout. There are going to be yummy things in the parks this summer, everything from lemonade to chicken tenders. Even I heard of waffles and balloons, all kinds of things. So it's going to be a fun summer. We also, we did a fee waiver for the People's Powwow, and so just to piggyback on that, they also said they're going to have a community feast the night before. So on the 22nd, there will be a community feast that is open to everyone, and then the 23rd will be the powwow. The goats will be returning on May 31st, everyone's favorite, the adorable goats. And then I think this is a huge celebration. I know my kids always looked forward to this day every summer, but the Kiwanis Pool will be opening Memorial Day weekend. So we're very excited about that. So that is all I have.
Thank you. Some wonderful updates. We have so many good things happening in the city. So many good things to look forward to. So with that, I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly of legislation. Just segue right into that. Today we had our legislative committee meeting, and it is day 97 as of Wednesday into the session. So things are moving along, and we've heard there's still lots to be introduced. So far I believe there's over 500, maybe 600 bills. And yeah, so it's moving pretty quickly, and we're just trying to keep up here. One thing to note is that the budget passed the Senate and the House and is now in conference. $17 billion from the general fund. They had to make some serious decisions and some huge cuts to things, unfortunately, like youth, including diapers for babies, transportation, programs for seniors, some pretty serious things to talk about and think about. And what we are hearing is that next year is going to be worse. So buckle up, everybody. We're in for a ride. This is going to be a challenging next year, I think. So we're all in this together, right? Bills that we have taken a support position thus far and some updates on that. We had the construction defects bill, which is HB 25-1272, which the mayor had informed that she went and testified for. And we were really looking forward to this bill moving along just because of this Civic Center campus development and, you know, that need for middle housing, right? Entry-level homes for young families, first responders, instead of being able to go directly into a big home, having something they can buy like a condo first. So this bill really would have helped deal with some of the issues that has prevented that type of construction around construction defect law. Unfortunately, there's some snags. We hope they can be worked through, but not too sure. There's some issues with fee shifting, and builders can be liable for attorney fees, and also homeowners could be liable for attorney fees. So obviously, if you think about that, that's not really going to fly. So that could put a damper on this. And we're just, you know, I think there's still some work to be done that hopefully sponsors and trial bar will remove that piece from the bill. So that's what we can hope for. More to come. Another bill that we took support for is 1276, which is failures to appear. I believe we reported out on that. Opposed, we have 1056, local government permitting wireless telecom facilities that had that shot clock that we were worried about. Some improvement, so it went from 30 days that we would have to, as a local government, approve these these permits for wireless telecom facilities, and now it's up to 90 days, and it's on its way to the governor's office, so this is a done deal. I don't believe there's any inclination that the governor will veto this bill. Another bill we had been watching, 1096, solar permitting. I believe now it was regarding an app that we would be required to use from one company, but now it is just a grant program. So that's the update there. SB 161, which is the RTD bill put forth by Senator Winter. Some of the things that we had mentioned or that we were requesting is more representation from the North Metro Denver area members to be represented on their board of directors, so more to come on that. Senate Bill 1, which is the Amend Colorado Voting Acts. There are some issues. We have an amend position right now, and we've reached out to our Representative Wilford, who sits on that committee. But there are some things that we are concerned about around local control, of course. That is an issue in our city, and one thing that we constantly have to make sure that we are on top of. But there's some other pieces of the bill. I will start by saying that we are in support with the intention of the bill in in protecting against voter suppression, bias, and discrimination. Those are good pieces, we believe, but the pieces that we have concern with are conflicts with the Colorado Constitution. It's not applied statewide. The preservation of nonpartisan elections could be at stake, and when those elections are held. And it opens us up for litigation, usurps local control, unfunded mandate, on and on and on. So those are the pieces that we're working on, hopefully. Our representative did say that she's willing to work with CML and cities on getting some of those amendments, hopefully soon on second reading. Let's see, where am I? Okay. A couple of bills that we vetoed. Councilmember Walker did already report out on 1147. Thank you so much for that. So we agreed to take a veto stance on that. Another one is the electronic fences bill, which is HB 1060. That already passed, so we are requesting veto letters for the governor. And again, most of the things that we oppose all boil down to the usurping of local control, unfunded mandates. Those are things that are a concern to our city. Let me see. Moving on, there's so many. Bear with me. We have taken an opposed position on the food trucks operations bill, 1295. It would, again, usurp our ability to maintain control over how we, permit and license food trucks. So it would prevent us from limiting distance from restaurants, not saying where they could be parked. There's also a shot clock on there and a reciprocal license that has to be issued with business license, health and safety inspection, fire safety permits, and on and on and on. But again, it all boils down to the burden that it would place on staff and sales tax issues, as well as local control. A couple of bills we're keeping an eye on is a workman's comp bill, which would basically flip the system. So at this point in time, if a worker is injured, it provides, the employer provides a list of 4 doctors the employee can go to. This would flip it so that the injured worker would choose whoever they want to go to. So that could be from thousands of doctors. And some of the concerns that we have, of course, is that it could cost more. It could actually delay the care for the injured worker and cause some confusion. So just keeping an eye on that as well. The YIGBY bill, the Yes in God's Backyard, that was a bill we were keeping an eye on, which would allow faith-based organizations to develop and not allow us to have any say in the zoning of what type of development can go there, is probably going to be killed. So I don't know that that's anything that we'll really be keeping an eye on moving forward. And then I believe that's pretty much it in a nutshell. The last thing that I would like to say is that during the legislative committee, we had some discussion about requests that came from residents, specifically about wanting to know how they can be more informed on all of these very long updates and what kind of legislation is going through and what we are specifically keeping an eye on here in Northland and what positions we're taking. It's a very convoluted process, to say the least, and it's hard for residents who want to know. So we're really lucky to have our director, Diana Wilson, in our meeting today, and we came up with some ideas on what that can look like. And so we're going to start with a basic landing page and kind of improve on that as we go along. Maybe for next session will be a little bit more elaborate, but basically residents, if you're interested in learning more about what bills are out there that affect the city directly, you will be able to link to this website and find out current positions that we've taken and why, and also be able to contact the legislative committee if you have any questions about it. And I think that's the way it should go. Does that sound good, legislative committee members? Did I get that right? Okay. And we'll also have call to actions as needed. So if there's a bill that we want residents, and there's probably going to be some next year, that we want you all as residents of Northland to show up and testify for, we will help you do that as well. Last two things related to the legislative committee is we have Superintendent from Adams 12, Chris Godowski, coming to speak to council on May 19th. So this will be a really great conversation, especially with all the funding cuts and everything that's going on. So it'll be a great opportunity one-on-one to ask those questions and to hear how that's affecting our students directly in Northland, in our district. And it's a lot. It's a lot, people. The last thing is our lobbyist will also provide a more extensive update for all of City Council on this whole legislative session on May 12th. So mark your calendars, it's going to be exciting. We are also going to look forward to streamlining our communications a little bit more. So moving forward, you will all have the landing page to look at the full bills and the positions, and we will just give the highlights. So for example, 1272, we took a support, or whatever, we took an amend. So that'll help shorten these communications a little bit. And I think that'll help us all, and you can all reach out to the committee if you have any questions. That is all I have for the legislative committee update. Now I have to move into things that I have done in personal communication. So I'm just going to hit the highlights in that so that we can move on with the rest of our meeting, because I know that's what we would love to do. I've attended a lot of the same things that other council members have attended. So Made in Adams County at Prost, really great event, excellent business. The Murphy USA ribbon cutting on Washington Street. Health Plan Helpers, I don't believe was one that was mentioned, had a ribbon cutting. And they help seniors find insurance plans, which is navigating that system is really important. So we don't have a lot of services for seniors, so this is really good. Our Ward 4 meeting, thank you, Councilmember Roper. I think you covered all the highlights. And even with it being slower, we still had a full community room at the end, so that was wonderful. There's probably some follow-up that will come out of that and conversations that you all will be hearing soon. I'm reaching out to some Thornton council members with some just some collaboration that will probably need to happen regarding the batting open space and things that are affecting residents along Melody Drive. So keep an eye out for that. Vail had our meeting on April 7th. I'm the chair of the Vail board, but I don't think there's anything we really need to report out. We approved our Q1 reimbursement, so that's good for, I think it was CASA, Ralston House, and Project Safeguard, and another one that I can't remember right now. I attended Northland PBL panel. It's just a way to volunteer and help the students who are presenting, and boy, it was a really touching one. It was about underrepresented voices, and our students in Northland are just so amazing. That's all I will say. We had our Business Retention and Expansion Committee. I'm pretty busy, guys. It's been like a really crazy couple of weeks. And all of the good things, talking about our ribbon cuttings and business walks that are coming up. Small Business Week. I am also a small business brick and mortar owner, 5 businesses, so that's coming up in May. And then we are already talking about and have a tentative theme for the Business Appreciation event, which I will not give away because I'm not allowed to. NURA had our meeting and we approved 3 big grants, easy for me to say. And then Councilmember Kondo already reported out on the Dr. Cog retreat, which I made it a point to attend. I'm the alternate. So that is all for my communication. I hope I kept that part Super short. Thank you. Next, we have any communications from City Manager Guyer.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. 2 items for council feedback this evening. It's my understanding that a group from the state had presented to, they're called a 250/150 group, came to the Metro Mayor's Caucus meeting recently to make a presentation on Colorado celebrating 150 years next year, as well as America celebrating 250 years next year. So I just want to get council consensus that it's okay to schedule this group to come forward from the state of Colorado to share plans for those celebrations. I'd recommend we do this in advance of budget, so that way if there's any sort of ask, I don't know that there is an ask, a financial ask that is, but that presentation, my understanding was about an 8-minute presentation that the mayor shared, and so just getting council consensus that you would like to see a presentation from this group.
How does council feel about that? Thumbs up? Looks like
Okay.
we have consensus.
Thank you. The second and last item that I have, Councilmember Jaramillo, you had emailed me, and Councilmember Nowicki, asking if there's something that we can do to prioritize and accelerate some no need for speed tools on Malley Drive between Washington and Irma. So I wasn't sure if you were planning on bringing up an ask this evening. If council would like staff to bring back information on the most recent incident, I'd be happy to do that in the form of a study session item or a discussion item at a future meeting.
I'd like, if there were, we can have a discussion or just a study item, that'd be great. I mean, I'd like to open it up since it's been 3 times. There's been a car that's went through the home at the intersection of Malley Drive and Irma Drive. And we talked about this intersection before, even back when former council member Becky Brown was on board, and we know about how dangerous the area is. And, it is part of the safety sensitive zone, but, there's still issues there. And, luckily, there has not been any fatalities. There has been some injuries, but we want to make sure that that area can stay safe. We know that we have some tools in the toolbox that could potentially help us, and I think that it's worth looking at. And I'd like to know if support of council to just take a look at it for a study session.
Can I see, okay, for a study session. Thank you so much for bringing that up, because I've seen emails and questions from residents, and I do agree that we need to do something and take a look at that area. There's been a couple of areas like Pecos and Melody that have had, it's just certain spaces, right, just in the right spot. So I'm in favor. How does everybody else feel? Looks like you have consensus.
Thank you for that direction. And I know to be more timely, Deputy Chief Randy Darling could provide council with some basic information on the incident tonight if you'd like that. Unfortunately, there is some misinformation out there as a result of the media about this particular incident and what the city has or has not done. So if you would like that information, Deputy Chief can give that to you now.
I have read a little bit about that information, but I think it would be really good for us to hear that.
So I'll defer to Deputy Chief.
Welcome, DC. How are you?
Good evening, Council. So the accident occurred last week. The initial investigation kind of led towards it being a DUI-related incident. Further investigation developed information that this was likely a medical event. While in police custody, the individual driver had a medical incident that later resulted in the doctor determining that there was likely a medical incident in this particular event, and it does not appear to be alcohol-related or drug-related as far as the DUI is concerned. A quick review of the data in and around the location. This particular vehicle is traveling eastbound on Malley. The road ends. There is no further infrastructure at that location. The residential property owner has taken precautions by essentially installing Ballard-type fencing around the yard. the way this accident occurred, it missed that ballard type fencing and just drove right up the driveway. There really wasn't a safety measure that could really be put in place to protect the driveway specifically, unless there was some type of a movable gate that could be opened and closed. The vehicle was able to traverse the driveway and into the garage portion of the residence. Thankfully, there was no one injured. It is a garage portion. It wasn't an occupied space within the residence. I did take a look at data from our SDK software, the relative speeds in and around Irma from 120th to 100 to Malley. Let's just take 120 to Malley. In one block segments, primarily the 85th percentile speed is at 28 miles an hour or lower for that entire stretch. There are a few spots where it jumps up to about 30 miles an hour, and even one block between, I want to say it's like Truda to Dean, where it jumps up to about 32 as the 85th percentile. So 85% of vehicles are traveling at or below 32 miles an hour in both directions. So the data is not highly supportive of a large speed situation in the area. I am having Public Works pull the data from our safety sensitive zone, which is a little further south than Malley. The primary part of that safety sensitive zone runs from about 115 up just north of Malley. So I'll get that data and I'll be able to bring that back to you in that study session as to what that looks like. This accident doesn't look like it was speed related or really even related to Irma, just happened to be the infrastructure and the medical event that occurred. And we can talk about maybe some strategies to protect the residential property. Any questions I can answer?
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, appreciate it. Appreciate the update. Thank you. Yeah, just so glad that nobody was hurt. So, very unfortunate. Thank you.
That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager Geyer. City Clerk Small, do you have anything?
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, City Council. I do have one quick item. Just because it's a little time sensitive, the City Clerk's Office will be holding our next Passport Saturday event on May 3rd. I know it's in May, but appointments are filling up fast. So the City Clerk's Office is holding one Saturday event per quarter, and that's intended to give people who can't make it to the office during regular business hours an opportunity to schedule an appointment on the weekend. So that will be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. here at City Hall. Appointments can be made either on the city's website or by calling 303-450-8753. That Saturday also kicks off the City Clerk's Office's next donation drive. And so we will be accepting personal hygiene products, household cleaning items, or non-perishable food. And this will benefit the community and specifically students and families who have access to Odin's Outpost at North Clinton High School. So any Passport customer that brings in a donation will receive a free Passport photo. And also, anyone in the community with a desire to give is welcome to drop off donations too. In the past, residents have seen the article in the North Glen Connection newsletter and have brought in donations even if they're not visiting us for a Passport appointment, and that is very lovely. So we would encourage anybody with a desire to give to come on in and visit us, and we will ensure that that gets over to Odin's Outpost at the end of May. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. City Attorney Hoffman, do you have anything else for us tonight?
Good evening, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. I do not have anything to report this evening.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have our financial report for January and February. And we have Deputy City Manager Jason Loveland presenting this item. Welcome, Jason. How are you? Deputy City Manager Loveland.
I didn't even catch up. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. As announced, this is our February financial update. Very early in the year, so I will say that some of the numbers look a little askew here and there. So I'm going to start off with the sales and use tax update, which that number looks a little scary. This is only 1 month of collection, so this is just January sales that we collect in February, so we're only reporting 1 month of the year. But sales and use tax was down just about 16% for that 1 month. It's not in this report since we just pulled the data for February. We're now just down 2.4%, so a little kind of a rebound, a little bit of a dip. There were some kind of major players in January that were late filing their returns that did have an impact kind of on what we saw. So happy to report that while this February report shows down about 16%, through the next month of just February, we're down about 2.4%. So obviously this is a large revenue source for the city, so we keep track of that as close as possible. So looking forward to the next month, and hopefully we'll see that negative amount turn positive. With that information, auto use tax, which tends to be pretty consistent, is down 2.7%. Marijuana tax continues to be down. It's about down 4.5%, and then our food tax is up 2%. Again, sales tax through that 1 month was down 18%, but that has rebounded with the February sales and collections. Moving ahead to kind of our fund reports. General fund revenue total is $2.6 million. That's down 12%. That's, again, largely driven by sales tax being down quite a bit within the fund. Another category on page 2 that kind of sticks out, licenses and permits, is down 48%, which is $111,000. Specifically, we're seeing a drop in right-of-way permits in January and February versus the prior year. I think a lot of that was just third-party infrastructure pulling permits to use our right-of-ways. So nothing alarming in any other categories. Fines and forfeitures is down 14% year over year. And one thing to note through all of the funds financials is investment earnings. You'll see in the general fund, those are down about 10%. Our current rate of return has dropped from about 5.5% at this time last year to about 4.5%. So that accounts for a portion of the decline. In some of the other funds, you're going to see great growth in investment earnings. And the reason for that is we allocate the dollars. We kind of put them all in just one bucket across all of the funds. And based off of each fund's cash balance is how we allocate interest earnings. Last year at this time, the Capital Projects Fund held about 33% of all of the assets. We've spent that down throughout 2024 with construction projects. So now that fund is only holding about 17% of the assets. So the percent allocation of the total has changed, which makes investment earnings. This is a very specific detail to these financial reports, but it does kind of stick out as a sore thumb when you see in some of the other pages investment earnings being up 48%. So I wanted to make mention of that. Skipping ahead to the expenditures in the general fund specifically, those total just under $6.5 million. That's up about 25%. One of the reasons that expenditures are higher across all funds that support personnel is that we had an additional payroll this year versus the prior year. January through February in 2024 accounted for 4 payroll cycles, and in 2025 there were 5. So there is an additional payroll. So when you're looking at by department spending, a majority of those increases are from personnel and that additional pay period. Additionally, some of the discrepancies or percent changes year over year are caused by things like dues and memberships or subscriptions for software, just the timing of if we made those payments in February of 2025 versus March of 2024. So we'll see that start to level out, and you'll see lesser percent differences year over year. In the middle columns, we talk about the spending rate. Overall, the spending rate's at about 16%, which 2 2 months of the 12, we would expect the spending rate to be at about 16%. So no concerns over the spending versus the budget in the general fund at this time. Skipping ahead to the water fund on page 4. Really nothing exciting to report here. Revenues are in line with what we would expect, up about 4%. Expenditures in the fund are pretty equal to where we'd expect things to be at this point of the year, at also $1.1 million. Consumption for January and February is up about 1%, so slight increase in consumption compared to the prior year. On the wastewater fund on page 5, total revenues of about $680,000, total expenditures of around $400,000. Again, nothing to report of excitement here. You'll see the investment earnings in this line up 23%. That just goes to the allocation of how things were being distributed. Moving on to the stormwater fund. Total revenues of $54,000, expenditures of $140,000. The majority of the spending on the stormwater side of things compared to last year is the study that we've talked about for the last several months as far as the analysis of our entire system. So we'll be bringing that report back soon for discussion with council. But otherwise, nothing in the stormwater fund in the first couple of months to note. The sanitation fund on page 7, revenues of about $228,000 and expenditures of $296,000. Sanitation charges for service are flat. There was no increase in 2025, so we'd expect to see that. And then the spending on the solid waste collections being about 15% on the operational side. That's also in line with what we would expect to see. Moving ahead to page 8, cash and investments summary. You'll see that at the end of February, cash investments stood at $73.5 million. And that is the orange line depicted on the chart at the bottom. You'll see that when we have done some of the projects in 2024, that we would expect the cash balance to be reduced. And so this is the indicator here on page 8 that kind of tracks that information in that line graph. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't really want to get into the next few charts regarding sales and use tax, just because of the early returns on those was pretty low, and we know that they have changed in February, so this is kind of dated information at this moment.
Do we have any questions? I do not see any questions yet. Take that back. Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Just in regards to sanitation, I'm just kind of curious. I know that fees tend to go up at the landfills and things like that. Have we anticipated increasing fees or anything like that? Or do we have a margin built in to accommodate those increases?
So there is margin to be built in, but we are also analyzing the fee structure in the sanitation fund.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Nowicki.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I know you said you didn't want to discuss the sales tax, but I'm just going to ask you one question about it. Sure. With regard to the marketplace sales tax history, I noticed the marketplace was down. Is that due to kind of the same kind of issue, or is there anything of concern there?
So I do think that at the marketplace, in 2024, there was a new business that opened that had a lot of excitement surrounding it, and at that time, that may have leveled off some. So I'm not saying that that's why in totality that's down, but that's generally what we see when new businesses open anywhere, is you'll see kind of like a peak upon entry into the area, and then over time, typically a year and a half or so, that kind of levels off. So,
okay. And I know January and February are always kind of tough months. So
that as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for addressing that because it is a little shocking to see at first glance. So I'm glad you kind of explained that. And I know you're being conservative with these numbers because there are hopefully some good future outlooks for the marketplace with, bankruptcies and all of those things, but that'll bring in some new business. And I know our Director of Economic Development is working hard to bring in some good attractions. So she'll keep working on that, and hopefully those numbers will also continue to get better. I thought I saw somebody else's hand up. No? Okay, looks like that is it. Thank you so much, Deputy City Manager.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Great. Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I will close that vote, and the consent agenda passes unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, tonight we have an ordinance on first reading, CB 2028. Will the clerk please read the title?
A bill for a special ordinance amending the 2025 budget, recognizing revenues and appropriating expenditures by supplemental appropriation for the payment of the costs and expenses of the municipal government, agencies, and offices of the City of North Glen, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Is there a motion to
Seconded.
second it on first reading? Thank you.
Never mind, disregard that. I withdraw my motion.
We good? Wait, did you withdraw your motion?
Wait, do we have to motion for a first reading?
Yes.
Okay, so I do motion to approve. Sorry.
Second.
Thank you. All right. Glad we got that. Good job. Deputy City Manager Loveland, welcome back.
Yes, thank you. So again, this is supplemental appropriation and CIP carryover amendment to the 2025 budget. So this is a special ordinance that's really reconciling expenses that were not incurred in 2024, but otherwise budgeted and planned. So these are for a variety of projects and other obligations that we set forth in 2024, such as purchases of vehicles and purchase orders and whatnot that were in place, or one-time studies are included here. So I won't go down the charts every single line, but I do want to recognize on the first page the general fund. We've tried to break this up into kind of manageable conversation pieces as far as the purpose, and then whether it's a revenue or expense. So we're recognizing revenue for a variety of grants within the general fund. And then we're also recognizing the expenditure related to those grants, so they kind of end up being a wash. And so you can see there's Adams County ARPA grant funding, and that is specific to the crew program that we received. These are all things that have come forward to council before that we're carrying over. There's an opioid grant as well, Fleet Zero and Charge Ahead grants for EV stations that are included. Also then various purchase orders in the planning department. Really those are specific to the climate action plan, the marketplace sub-area plan, and the Section 36 sub-area plan. So those are projects that were started previously, not completed, and then therefore being carried over into the next year. The police department, a variety of purchases for vehicles. You can see that. So in the general fund, this ordinance would add an additional $1.6 million in revenue into the 2025 budget, and then recognize about $1.585 million of expenditures. On the Conservation Trust Fund, Capital Projects Fund, water, stormwater sanitation, you can see kind of those detailed specific projects on pages 4 through 9, where we've identified, it's attachment 1 of the capital improvement program. So where this can get confusing is in 2024, we budgeted I'm going to make up numbers, not specific to any one project, $1 million for Project X. During the year, we've only spent $200,000 of that, so we have $800,000 of that project that we need to carry over to the next year's budget. Typically during budget time, we try to make an estimate of how much we'll spend, because we're doing the budget well before year end. So we're making an estimate. So sometimes we say we're going to spend the full $1 million. We don't budget anything for the next year. So we would need to carry over $800,000 of that project that we didn't get spent in 2024. So that is what all of those line items are in attachment 1, really trying to identify the proposed carryover versus the current appropriation. These are the last 3 columns on the right-hand side, and then what the total revised appropriation will be. So happy to answer any questions, but that kind of in summary is pre-authorized projects that are identified in a 2024 or earlier budget, and then what hasn't been spent on that project at this time. I also included on attachment 2 more detail of the purchase orders specific to each department. Fund 10 and 50 are water, is the general fund, and then the water fund, Fund 56, which you wouldn't know from our chart of accounts, but that first number represents the fund. So those are the details of the purchase orders that are summarized on the first couple of pages. So I just wanted to make note of that for you as well.
I'm sorry, what pages were those?
This is on page 6,
Okay,
attachment 2, that kind of details the purchase orders.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you so much, Deputy City Manager Loveland. We do have some questions for you.
Okay, great.
Councilmember Nowicki.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, Deputy Director Loveland, for being here. Kind of looking forward, given kind of where things are at, I think maybe there's the possibility of prices kind of going up in the future just on a lot of these things. So if we have to kind of reappropriate periodically, which I think kind of revisiting this, is there any, might that kind of put any of these projects at risk in the future?
I suppose that's always a risk of making cost estimates at a point in time and not really, not being able to foresee the future. So at the moment, I don't know that there's anything that's necessarily on our radar that's saying, hey, this project probably isn't going to happen or may not happen.
I guess how would we know? Like, would you guys come and be like, hey, this is...
So I think that if we go back, so staff and the teams who are obviously more involved in kind of the details of the cost estimates, if they start to see price fluctuations in any type of pricing, we'll go back and reevaluate, what we're able to do. I would say one project would be like, and I don't know where this is going, it's just a generalization of, our road improvements, the cost of asphalt, and to do that, instead of doing 10 lane miles, maybe the impact is we can only do 8 because of the cost of materials. So there's always things like that come into play. As that's kind of just part of doing business, is not being able to analyze those things.
Right. And that, okay, so in some regard, that would kind of be spelled out to us a little bit.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Nowicki. It's actually a very good question, but hopefully, I know there's always that chance, but we do usually bill in like a 10% contingency for those same reasons. So
there definitely is that, and most recent history through COVID, 2020 through the last couple of years, we saw great price inflation happening. So some of those things are built in, but again, as we go forward, it's very challenging to predict certain impacts.
Absolutely. And it looks like we have a couple more questions. Councilmember Kondo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. First of all, thank you for meeting with me earlier this afternoon to kind of decipher a little bit and help me understand this, so I appreciate that. But I think, and don't get me wrong, Councilmember Nowicki, I think where you were going was perhaps how would we know that maybe a project would be canceled outright, perhaps, or deferred? But it sounds like, to your answer to his prior question, it would be maybe more or less just scaling down of projects than anything.
It could be scaling down, and then if the impacts are great enough, certainly we would come back to council to say, hey, we need to press pause on this because costs have gotten out of control. As far as our budget is concerned, what we have available to budget, or also come back with proposals and ideas on how to navigate prioritizing projects to say, we were going to do these 5 projects, we're not going to be able to, and how do we want to prioritize the 3 most important projects to get accomplished? So a variety of ways to have those conversations as time comes up. Anything that is supported by grant revenues, if for some reason those funding sources go dry, clearly we would come back and inform the council, why that project may not move forward.
And then just one other, just to confirm or parrot back what I heard from you in our afternoon meeting for the benefit of the public. And really, that is the reason why we are doing this supplemental is really to true up what was a budget that we developed last fall in October to reflect A, more contemporary views of the costs or estimates on projects, and B, to make sure that we're appropriately carrying over, if you will, the expenses and or attached revenues with projects that weren't necessarily fully completed in '24 that are now ongoing in '25.
You're correct.
Am I parroting what you told me
Yes, that is
this
accurate.
afternoon correctly? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I just figured I'd do that for the benefit of the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Kondo. I was also going to make that point because I know sometimes with the public, there's some confusion as to that carryover number, right? It's not a new thing that we're adding to this year's budget. It is a carryover for that reason. And I do encourage residents to reach out if they have any questions to our Deputy City Manager. Just as Councilmember Kondo did, we are also welcome to do that. So I just want to make sure that is there for anybody that doesn't understand why those carryovers happen or why those numbers are changing. And then to the point of how will we know? We will know because this is what we do with City Council. So if there is any issues and any projects are getting delayed or canceled, then we will know about it. And there could potentially be there was some announcements with funding freezes, so there are some decisions we may have to make, and that's the hard reality. So we all need to be diligent and keep an eye on that. And we are well informed. So thank you, Deputy City Manager, for this update. Are there any further questions? Great. Thank you. Is there a motion to, I'm sorry, hold on one second. Is there a motion to approve CB 2028 on first reading?
So moved.
I'm sorry. That was my bad. I lost my place in here, so we already did this, so we're just gonna open that vote. Thank you. I lost my place and then I was reading something else. All right.
The vote is open.
Thank you, City Clerk. Please vote.
I will close that vote, and CB 2028 on first reading passes unanimously.
Great, thank you so much. All right, I am in the right place on my script here. We have 3 resolutions. First one is CR 35. Will the City Clerk please read the title?
A resolution appointing a Ward 3 member to the Diversity, Inclusivity, and Social Equity Board of the City of North Glen, Colorado.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Seconded. Thank you. I would love to invite Riley to come forward to introduce themselves to City Council. So Riley, please come forward. Welcome.
Hi there, good evening. Sorry if I I'm a little nasally. Allergy season.
Oh, it is the time. My
Kicking my
husband
butt.
his face is blowing up right now. Thank you so much for being here. We would love to just have you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about why you wanted to be on the DISE board.
Yeah, sure. So I have been in North Glen for about 2.5 years. Two-time homeowner here. First home I've ever purchased was here, as well as I contribute to the sales and use tax with my small business. It's not brick and mortar, but still, taxpayer. I am excited to be a part of the board. I've attended the North Glen Pride the 2 years that I've been here. I am hoping to be a representation for non-binary trans people. There's a lot of representation of binary trans issues, so I'd like to bring a little bit more diversity in that ideology. I don't really have anything else to say. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Goff, do you have anything to add? I know.
I'm not quick enough with the buttons.
And you're a Ward 3 representative as well. So.
Yes.
We look forward to working with you and welcome to the Diversity Board in the city.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilmember Kondo.
Also, a congratulatory message as Dr. Goff's co-ward member for Ward 3, the best ward.
We are all amazing. I will just say that, all right? The whole city, let's not get into ward wars here. That could be a title of something, right? Ward wars? Are we on to something? Probably not. Let's not go there. Battle of the wards. We are getting way off track. Riley, thank you so much for volunteering. As we had a proclamation earlier, the volunteers, we really rely on them to support our city and to keep the city going and to hear from different voices. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I look forward to it.
And for waiting so long.
Oh, our communications, yeah, thank you. No other questions, great.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I will close that vote, and CR 35 passes unanimously.
Great, congratulations. Okay. It's official. All right, moving on to CR 38. Will the clerk please read the title?
A resolution adopting the City of North Glen Climate Action and Resilience Plan.
Is there a motion to approve CR 38?
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Thank you. We have our Sustainability Coordinator, Mara Owen, who will provide a summary of the item to City Council. Welcome, Mara. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, absolutely. Madam Mayor Pro Tem and Council, I'm extremely excited to be here today to present the final of the Climate Action and Resilience Plan that we we did a draft reading with you all in March. This was anticipated about a year-long process, and it started in April of last year, so we are exactly on time, which I am proud of as well. We are really excited to be here also to talk about some of the updates based on your feedback that we actually went through. So in the council memo, you'll know that we have a few pieces that we actually updated. I wanted to call your attention to two of them. Simply page 78, we actually added a whole page to the implementation chapter highlighting the connections between the city council strategic plan and this plan, just really codifying it, putting it in there so you can see where those connections are. And then based on some feedback, specifically Councilmember Kondo, we had some key partners such as Decarbonize Dr. Cog that we added as both implementation as well as funding partners. So past that, I just wanted to start with some thank yous for the many people who have contributed to this particular plan, specifically starting with staff who have attended many workshops, meetings, one-on-ones, answered a lot of surveys, really making sure that this plan not only aligns with our current operations, but future plans. A huge thank you there. Another thank you to the community who came to everything from neighborhood night meetings last summer up to a lot of different meetings this year. And again, surveys, which is great. Really making sure that this plan is reflective of our community. Third, I wanted to really thank our sustainability committee, who we presented every other month to, made sure that they were updated. They were really instrumental in bringing a lot of the feedback, especially on those vision and goals. Really grateful to them. Fourth, to council, really making sure you were supportive and had really clear feedback all the way through the process, and a big thank you there. It made our jobs much easier. And then just a big thank you to our consultant group, Brendel Group, and specifically Sarah Kay, who was our project manager, for making everything very easy to do, extremely professional to work with. Wanted to make sure there was there. Now, I have to say, the thing that I'm the most excited about here is not the plan that is in front of you, but what comes next, which is the implementation. So actually getting things going. Because of that, we actually have 2 additional documents that you'll see in your council packet, which are a business guide and a resident guide to climate action, which aligns with this plan, so trying to tie them together. The city actually only our specific municipal operations only account for 2.6% of the city's total emissions based on our last greenhouse gas emissions. So if we're going to be successful in this work, we need to bring everyone with us to the table. So this is just one of many efforts that are ongoing to make sure that we are bringing not just us to the table, but communities, and then also our business community. So excited to have that there. Really, the last bit is I'll say is that council staff recommends approval of CR 38, the resolution adopting the City of North Glen Climate Action Resilience Plan, and we are available for questions should you have any. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Councilmember Kondo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. First of all, I have to give kudos to Ms. Owens, because she's been really a pivotal contributor to a lot of the activities that are going on, not only at the city, but also at Dr. Cog, in terms of the whole effort to apply and secure the EPA grant that I've talked about on a couple occasions. And then I didn't mention this in council communications, but I'm on the Dr. Cog Oversight Board, and so we had an in-person meeting last month, and so Ms. Owens joined us as well. And you were called out a number of times for some very important contributions. So I wanted to make sure that you received some recognition on that. My only comment, really, when I was reviewing the material, I noted that on page 9 of the packet, i.e. the residential guide, under buildings, it has a link for Arapahoe County's weatherization program, which I now understand through Brooke in an email earlier today, it really is Arapahoe County.
Yep, it's
So,
extremely confusing, but accurate.
Can we put a footnote or something in there to say
Yeah.
it's really Arapahoe County? Because some people might say, well, gee, I'm not in Arapahoe County, I'm in Adams County. Should I go to the Adams County website? I know it's a link, so it'll take them to the right location. That's my only request. Thank you.
Great note. It was flagged by our clerk as well, just making sure that that's accurate, and it is indeed accurate, but a footnote would be much clearer. So good feedback.
Great, thank you. We have a couple more questions. Councilmember Goff?
Well, it's not really questions, but just thank you so much for all the work. We're so glad that we have a sustainability coordinator, and even happier that it was you. I do hear from other organizations, Adams County, I was at a meeting and they talked about you, so in positive terms. So this is a great document. It looks like it's going to carry us forward for many years, and appreciate the effort. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Burns?
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Again, this is the coolest thing. I'm so excited. I love the business and the residential guide. Great additions. I can't wait till people can see this and sort of like check the boxes, which is highly satisfying to me. So I bet people will love that. Yeah, I'm just really excited to raise my kids here, breathe clean air, drink clean water, have good vibes. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I just want to personally also thank you. All of these updates have been so good. And I know the mayor has commented on this before, but it's just so clear, it's so concise. I really appreciate that you've really done a great job of keeping us updated so much. But not only that, you know, you mentioned taking that feedback, but you've implemented the feedback, which is, I think, really important. I think that's what we're here for. So we really, really appreciate that you're listening and taking those action steps. The other piece that I really appreciate is that you are involving the community, because far too often we hear from the community, well, I didn't know about this, or I wish I could have had a say, and we do offer ways for that to happen. So I think that's extremely important, and you're taking action again with a business and residential guide, which again is just really kudos to you and the team for doing such a great job in making sure that there's clear ways to communicate with our community on this very important plan. And then also appreciative that you aligned it with our strategic plan, because that's what we use, all of us, when we're making decisions or looking at our budget and trying to figure out priorities and next steps. So overall, that is just to say that thank you. Just thank you for all of that. And again, for this wonderful update. We appreciate it.
Very welcome. Not done alone.
Yeah. Anything else? No? Okay. Thank you so much.
Very much.
Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I will close that vote, and CR 38 passes unanimously.
Thank you. Last resolution, CR 41. Will the clerk please read the title?
A resolution approving a professional services agreement between the City of North Glen and Fiore and Sons Incorporated for former City Hall abatement and demolition services.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. We have Director of Public Works, Sarah Borgers, who will provide a summary of the item. Welcome, Director Borgers.
Lovely to be here, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. So as you know, we're here in our lovely new building, and across the street, we have our less new building that needs to leave us. And so this project will be demoing that building. We got really great turnout actually on proposals for this. We had 7 folks provide proposals. Those proposals ranged from $204,220 and $729,000. We did not pick low bid in this case. We picked the lowest responsible bid. There were 2 bidders that came in lower, but they didn't quite meet the needs that we were looking for. So the bid for Fiore and Sons, our selected group, is $425,772. And we're asking for a 10% contingency on top of that. We're expecting that work to start and be completed this summer, pending us being able to get our utilities disconnected from the building. But we're excited to take those next steps.
Great. Thank you so much for that update. I know many of us have been waiting to hear when that's going to happen, as well as residents want to know. So this update is fantastic. We have a couple of questions or comments for you. Let's see, Councilmember Jaramillo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I mentioned this in a previous meeting before. We spoke about how the space between our new city hall and our rec center, that we would not like it to be an asphalt desert in a way, And are we going to be working with the company that's doing the abatement to still be able to have some of the mature trees that we have there, just to keep some of that, a lot of things that we talked about here with Arbor Day, we're talking about, want to make sure we kind of stay true to these, Tree City, making sure you keep the temperatures down, keep the oxygen going on here. We got I-25 right there. It's, want to, make sure we're doing our, walking our talk.
Definitely. That's a really great question. So the scope of this project is purely just to take the building down. We'll have a separate contract for providing the temporary parking, what we decide that looks like in a next phase. I will say, though, based on, from your question about the trees specifically, we've talked with our parks folks about how to save those trees. Fortunately, as soon as you get equipment over their root system, they are probably not going to survive the process. And so we are going to have to take down the trees surrounding the old City Hall.
Darn, okay, well, wanted to bring that up since we spoke about, similar topics earlier. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kondo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. First of all, thank you for responding to my email over the weekend. In regards to the funding source, I was concerned about whether the 2.7 million EPA Brownfields grant is attached to this, and you confirmed it's not. So I appreciate that confirmation. I also read in the packet that the amount of asbestos is pretty minimal. So I'm assuming, unlike our old rec center building, the sort of abatement for asbestos should be a much lighter lift, I guess, so to speak. Is that correct?
That is our expectation at this point, yes.
Okay. And then just for our city manager and your awareness, I don't know if North Metro has reached out to you, but they did express an interest in doing some sort of training. I don't know if that's part of the timeline, or do I need to poke North Metro a little bit to make sure that communication is happening?
North Metro Fire Rescue District has not reached out to me. They reached out to Brooke. Brooke, do you want to come forward and share whether or not you said yes, use the building, or no, don't use the building?
Welcome, Director Svoboda.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. They reached out a long time ago, right after we took operation of this building, about the utilization of it. We told them that we would need to wait until we knew the disposition of when we were going to start demo. Also, PD has also asked the same question. So what we can try to do is, now that we know we're moving forward, we can see if whether or not the schedule would permit that. So we can work with them. They love doing that fire training whenever they can on an old building. We did it over at the old rec center as well. So we'll see if there's a way to accommodate.
Gotcha. I know firemen like to wield the axe around, so, you're not doing that in a new building. Thank you.
Great. Had a great time attending that training over at the old rec center before it was demolished, so that would be a great use. And if we can be invited, that would be great. But thank you so much for this. And I think it's worth noting that sometimes the lowest bid isn't always the bid that's going to be chosen, because that question comes up, well, why did the city choose to spend more money? But I appreciate the work that you did and your team did into making sure it is going to be the most responsible bidder and that the work is going to get done, versus going with the lower bidder and then, what do they say, you pay for what you get sometimes, or whatever that saying is. So I just want to make a note of that I appreciate that, because that's not always the case, even though we'd love for that to be the case, but that's not always how it works out. And then something that Councilmember Kondo said, the $2.7 million EPA grant, yes, it's not tied to this, but it is tied to the abatement of the old rec center site for the public that doesn't know. And that is, we shall see what happens to that. Are there any other questions for Director Borgers? No? We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here and for this update. Thank you. Now we have something to tell residents on that timeline. Appreciate it. Great. Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I will close that vote, and CR 41 passes unanimously.
Thank you. Home stretch, teammates. We have one discussion item, and we have City Manager Geyer, who will present this item to council, which is our quarterly agenda planning.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and members of council. I am not sick. I am just allergy stricken, so excuse my hoarseness and my coughing. I would not be here in this room with all of you if I was sick and contagious. So just bear with me tonight if I need to stop and get a sip of water. Many of you are familiar with the quarterly agenda planning process, so in an effort to buy some time, I'm going to skip the purpose slide. as well as the agenda. You know why we're here this evening. We do have an upcoming meeting cancellation, which is for Memorial Day. So that is noted on the tentative future agendas. And when we dive into future meetings, we have a lot ahead of us, which is exciting. So I'm not going to read everything, but I'll go bullet by bullet. So April 21st, you see the items listed in front of you. Again, tonight's conversation is an opportunity for council to ask questions and let me know if something's not in the right place that you'd like to have reprioritized. April 28th, full agenda as well with a couple executive session items that got added last week. The May 5th agenda is a little bit lighter. However, you will be engaging in the domestic violence and prevention training by a CCPP/resident here in North Glen. And then we've added the crew update. We're able to shift that, and then Section 36 sub-area plan. May 12th, we have a marijuana licensing authority item and safety sensitive zone debrief. So that meeting looks a little light as of now, but that's several meetings away. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up adding a few items over there. Diving into the latter part of May, we will have that update by Superintendent Chris Godowski that was mentioned earlier by Mayor Pro Tem, along with the long-awaited Civic Center preferred alternative. So this is part of Council's reimagining the Civic Center work. We'll also have an update on the banner program pre-2026 budget development, as well as Deputy City Manager Loveland mentioned that we're in the process of assessing our stormwater fees, sanitation fees, so we'll be bringing that information to you as an initial touch point on May 19th. Transitioning into June, you'll hear a year-end report for 2024, a NURA and Economic Development report that is. These two next items, customer service expectations, strategic plan future-proofing, these may shift based on other priorities that I have at the end of the slide deck to get direction from you all on. This evening, these are lower priorities compared to some of the other things that are out there that are part of the 2.15 strategic plan item is part of the strategic plan as noted, but that can be shifted out a couple meetings if necessary. June 9th, we'll hear a presentation by our auditing firm for the 2024 financial audit. Right now, I have June 16th holding space for the image enhancement, which item from the strategic plan, which is really to bring back to you the entryway signage program that we hit pause on a couple years ago. I think it was 2022, the fall of 2022, we hit pause on that based on available funding. So we'll be bringing that back to council. And then you can see June 23rd, June Beautification Awards gets kicked off, our fun summertime activities. And then you have noxious weed and open space management plans, and then Good Neighbor Awards as well. And then I'll be back in front of you to discuss the quarterly agenda planning process. At that point, I'll share more dates with you about the 2026 city budget process. Some of those dates are already filled in on the tentative future agenda, so you can see those in the out months. However, I'll verbally report out on them at that point in time. So 3 items that I need clarification for scheduling from council this evening. The first item is when council would like to have an executive session. This is a council executive session, not an executive session with me to discuss the 2025 city manager review process. My anniversary date is August 20th, so that'll be here before you know it. And I'm happy to try to plug this executive session in at a point in time that you feel best for council. So I'm seeking direction on that.
Okay, thank you, City Manager Guyer. My initial feeling on this, and I'll wait to hear from fellow council members, is to have this as soon as possible, just so we can be ready for your review in August. I do see a hand up. Councilmember Kondo?
I thought my recollection was that we're not going to do a city manager review, but rather have check-ins, and then the next manager.
Yeah, this is different. So this is the. I will let City Manager Guyer answer this, but this is not her review. It's about the process.
The process.
The review
Okay.
process.
Check. Okay.
But please feel free to
Gotcha. So
elaborate.
we want to talk about how we want to.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, I'm scheduled to do the first check-in with council next Monday, April 21st. And as part of that presentation, I have included already 2 additional check-ins for the remainder of the year, assuming that's what council would like to do. So you can provide me with that feedback next Monday.
Okay. Yes, pardon me, I didn't read process at the end of that bullet, so I'm good.
Okay, so I'll look to see how I can fit that in sooner than later, either next week or April 28th might be a better fit. The second bullet is community.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
City Manager Guyer, I do believe there's one more question, Councilmember
I'm
Burns.
sorry, I apologize.
My only input was like, maybe can we try and book it like before the summer? Yeah, so like May, I was thinking just the exec session, we won't, yeah. I think the more of us here, the better.
I agree with you. Is everybody in consensus with that? I mean, April 28th is something that you just put out there, sooner the better. Is everybody good with that? I believe the mayor would agree with that as well.
I will add a third executive session item for April 28th. Thank you for that direction.
Thank you.
For Community Co-Production Policing and Advisory Board, and we have our city clerk, Joanna Small, here with us this evening, who supports that board. So certainly I'll defer to her with any response to any questions you might have about the activities of the board. But I would like direction if this is a meeting, and what does this look like in terms of teeing this item to bring back to you, if you still would like to have this brought back to you. This was a request, I believe, from Councilmember Burns that was elevated during strategic planning.
Okay, thank you. I would love for Councilmember Burns, who is the liaison to the CCPP board, to speak a little bit more about that.
Thank you. Yeah, I know we've kind of been like talking about this board for a while. I think it may have lost its way a little bit. I think we're righting the ship, but I do think having clarity around the purpose and what our vision for this board is, because I do think it sometimes misses the mark with the community aspect of it, and bridging that gap. I think like the programs coming up, like the Blue Envelope program, some newer things are really helpful and are more aligned, but I would love to have like a discussion of like, what do we think the vision of this board and the purpose of it should be, and how it should move forward.
Oh, sorry. I would love to hear from anyone else that has an opinion or some input on possibly what that, Councilmember Goff?
Well, I would just say that I think it's worth having that discussion. It does seem like since it was founded, which was in turbulent times, and we were all on Zoom and everything else, but it has, I'm still a little kind of confused about what it's actually doing and why. So I think it's worth the discussion.
Thank you, appreciate that input. Councilmember Walker?
Thank you. I agree with Councilmember Burns. I like hearing the Blue Envelope program. I think that's the step that we wanted and want to see out of this board. I'd like to see how we can help them get, I'd say, to further achieve that in more areas. So I'm with her on this.
Thank you. Anyone else before I speak? Okay. I support Councilmember Burns as well. I'm in agreement. I do believe that they are doing good work, but it doesn't hurt to have the discussion as to what the direction of the future could look like, or maybe steering them in a better direction, or whatever that might look like for us to discuss. So I believe we would need council consensus on having a discussion. Everybody's good? All right.
Would you like this to be a joint session with the current CCPP board or a council-only discussion?
I will wait to hear from everyone, but I do think that we should discuss this as a council first. But I'm happy to hear what everyone else has to say. So, Councilmember Kondo.
Yes, I would be in favor of just the days only having a conversation, because we may, there may be some brainstorming or outlandish solutions. But obviously, we want to make sure that we're good with that before it goes to the broader organization.
Thank you, Councilmember Kondo. I'm seeing some heads nod, at least this way. Can't turn my head that fast yet. But everybody else on this side good with that? Okay, so I think we're all in agreement that we should speak as a council first before we move forward with any discussions with the board.
Okay, thank you for that direction.
Thank you.
Anything you can think of, City Clerk Small, on that you need clarity on? Okay, great. The third bullet item here is a meeting with the Diversity, Inclusivity, and Social Equity Board. This wasn't part of the strategic planning process. I believe it was advanced perhaps following the last DISE board presentation, and then some question about the programming that they're doing. I can share that, and certainly Councilmember Goff is here, who's the council liaison to the board. I have been attending the last 3 DISE board meetings. I think they're making good progress in terms of development of their 2025 work plan, with a goal of doing the 2026 work plan in advance of 2026, and really evaluating if they have what they need budgetary-wise, and if not, certainly they would relay that to staff, and that would come through as a package request for the 2026 budget process. So that's what I can share there. But looking for direction from council, if you'd like to have this discussion sooner than later. They're scheduled to come back in November to report out annually to meet that requirement. And would you like to have this session with them or with council as a whole?
Okay. Just as with the CCPP board, I would love to hear from Councilmember Goff, who is the liaison to the DISE board. Just going to put you on the spot there, please.
Well, I will say that I believe the initial reason for having a meeting like this was just to, I don't know, maybe improve communication between the city council and the DISE board. And I don't know if it had some confusion about the Pride Fest, being considered to be moved to the county and then back, or what. I mean, I guess I'm not really sure, except that there were just some confusions, and it seemed like it might be a good idea to have a meeting where, we as the city council could hear from the DISE board, and they could hear from us. More than that, I don't really remember, what that was about.
Okay, thank you for that input. Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I would like to have it, I would like to see it as a more structured conversation as opposed to ad hoc, open conversation. My recollection around our strategic plan and whether we were going to have a Pride Festival or not, I think part of that was really making sure we understood that other underrepresented groups were also having an opportunity to be showcased, if you will, with our events. And so I think part of that might be having a conversation with the DISE board to make sure, yep, we are having a wide aperture, if you will, and not necessarily just a very narrow scope. That, at least for me, that is my area of concern, and I think having a conversation around that would be very useful.
Got it, thank you. Again, just like before, I would love to hear from the other council members. If you have some thoughts, comments, questions on meeting with the DISE board. Councilmember Burns. I'm sorry, did you have your hand up? I see Councilmember Jaramillo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I was just wondering, like, Councilmember Kondo, what would you like to see? If you could spell it out. Like, you know, you're talking about a narrow scope. What do you want to see? Like, for celebrating other cultures. Can you give some examples?
Yeah, I mean, and I think in the aftermath of what's happening now, there's an expansion, right? There's conversations about Juneteenth and other things. I will tell you that I had a dialogue with Chris Semino after the whole incident, if you will, and the decision-making. And, you know, it was very, the epiphany that I had when I spoke with her was she really valued the personal touch of the North Glen Pride event as opposed to going to other events where you just get lost in the shuffle of a big crowd. And I wish that understanding, I wish I had that understanding in advance of our discussion and decision-making. It probably would have better informed my decision-making. So, you know, I think that also needs to be part of that structured conversation. You know, what does it mean? What does it feel having a Northland Pride event, and how is that differentiated, say, versus other Pride events throughout the Denver metro area? Because if you recall at the workshop, we were talking about, oh, well, there's, you know, economies of scales and synergies and getting bigger name acts and all this other stuff. And I think we as a group, we just totally, we missed it. We missed what the group that attends our Northland Pride event really wanted and what they prized. So then I thought to myself, okay, yeah, there was this communication gap or misunderstanding. Maybe it was just my misunderstanding. I don't know. But I really think it would be useful to have that. And then, you know, to your point, Councilmember Jaramillo, is, you know, as an Asian American, I'm not quite feeling that there's enough going on in terms of representation in that particular sector. And I want to make sure that the board, the DISE board, is indeed structured and focused in a way that they're considering as many minority underrepresented groups as possible when we're trying to pull together events in the city. Okay, so, you know, not just having special events, but everything that we do is inclusive and welcoming.
My comments on that is that, you know, if we had a fest for every culture, it would be like, we'd be back on why we were scaling back on events. Remember, we had that conversation and we scaled back and a lot of cuts were made, you know? Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of people who are minorities in North Glen, but, you know, if we had there's a lot of places like Adams County, look right here. We had Adams County had Festival Latino, and I'm proud to be, and Mayor Pro Tem, we were both on that board to help make that happen at the county level. I mean, it takes a lot of organization, and we couldn't do that. I don't feel like we could do that here in North Glen, but I feel like you're right, that we had to go into the larger municipalities to come together to help create this event. And unfortunately, we are scaling back, but I feel like if the DISE board could have like even components of that would bring in, you know, myself as a Latino, we're the second most represented here in North Glen. And, you know, that's why I wanted to be a part of the first one that happened in Adams County. So if we could, you know, maybe have those components where it's like, okay, we're going to have people that specialize in this culture, bring that component, you know, and really make it more, you know, holistic, as I say, as a way of having it, bringing everybody together. I think that's possible. But as for, the Pride event, we're saying yes, and we want to do the event here in North Glen and be a part of Adams County. That way we can, have it here in our community that's been so supportive of the of DISE and everybody that includes and Pride. So that's what I'm thinking is like, okay, I think it's all right that we have both events, but as far as coming together for cultural events, I think that's on DISE too, to open that conversation and really bring those components to the forefront for each event. And that's something I try to bring, like when we have our, with Northland Arts having our art show, I try to bring that. I did not feel like there was a lot of support, I'll say that, like there was no other board members, no city council members, anything like that. And I feel like that's, something that we should do a better job is supporting more of the multiculturalism that we do have here. We do, when it's really happening. And I'm glad I just got to vent that out because we had the event last Friday and I didn't see anybody else besides people who are Chalk members. The only people that were there were North Glen Arts staff. And there's a whole other conversation about that, but I wanted to get that off my chest. But yeah, I do feel like we need to just bring those components all together as DISE, diversity. We all have backgrounds, and I think that should be celebrated, and every chance we get in our events that we have. Thank you.
Councilmember Kondo, did you want to follow up with that?
Yes, I would like to respond. First of all, I think we are possibly talking on the same page, just maybe past each other a little bit, because I'm definitely not suggesting that we have special events for every underrepresented group to be all things to all people. I mean, we would break the bank if we were to do that. What I am suggesting is, is there a way for us to showcase or highlight certain underrepresented groups on a rotational basis? That way, you're able to kind of spread that attention and focus around. So maybe it's not every year having a Pride Fest. Maybe it's every other year, and maybe the alternating year is a Juneteenth or a Latino or what have you. This is the kind of brainstorming conversation that I would like to have with the DISE board so that we could actually provide some clearer guidance, but also on your point about, generic events that happen within the city. Yeah, I think that DISE board also plays a role because you have different booths or cabanas that are set up, and we want to make sure that it's not just XL Energy or T-Mobile or whatever. Those are important. Obviously, they're sponsors. But to see even more diversity in terms of representation of different community-based organizations at our larger events like, the Food Truck Festival or some of our summer events that we have. So with that, I'm going to rest. But I am sharing with you what my concern is and what kind of conversation I think I would like to see when we do meet with the DISE board.
Thank you. And the whole point of this is to have an open dialogue and for us to be able to express what our thoughts and feelings are about this. But I do want to point out that the DISE board did host an amazing Asian Pacific American festival. I was able to secure the hula dancers for that, coming from a blended household of Hawaiian, Asian, Pacific Americans, and Puerto Ricans, very blended. And so I do want to acknowledge that they did a really good job for that. I do have lots of thoughts, and but I will express them in a minute because there are lots of hands up here, and I would love to give everybody a chance to speak first and hear your thoughts. Councilmember Burns, you had your hand up for a while, so you get to go first.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I think just to kind of bring back to the core of the meeting, and so I think it would be helpful to me at least to have either a discussion just amongst us about the relationship and the bridge between the DISE and how we work, and then when DISE influence, like has a chance to weigh in on things and that sort of thing. I think that is like, if I'm remembering correctly, where this line item came from. And so I think maybe at first a meeting with just the DISE, talking about our, I think to piggyback off of CCPP is like, what is our relationship for direction, that sort of thing, and then how does that apply to the board? So I think that would be very helpful to me moving forward, and then to me, then the DISE board could then come back with ideas and we can brainstorm. But I think getting clarity about how we all work together first would be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Burns. I'm kind of leaning in that direction, but I would love to hear from everybody else that still has their hands up, and there's still lots of hands. Councilmember Goff, I believe you were next.
Thank you. I'm glad that you pointed out about the Asian American Pacific Islander event. DISE has always been more than just the Pride Fest. So, I mean, we've always done lots of things. That's just one, and it kind of got to be in the spotlight this year. But that's not the only thing we've ever done. And I do think, however we decide to organize our communication with the DISE board, I know that there has been discussion, like comes up every once in a while with the DISE on the DISE board, that they would like to have more ability to be involved in some of the things that the city is making decisions about. And I know that's a hard thing to do and very time consuming, but to speak to the Juneteenth, DISE came to the Juneteenth concert last year because they didn't even really know that it was being planned or anything like that. It was kind of last minute for the DISE board that they came and they did, and we also felt like that wasn't like enough involvement. They wanted, so that's why there's way more going on this year. We got on the ground floor way before things got, started to get planned. So it's going to be a much bigger event this year. And we're always looking for more, events and ideas, education and community outreach, But on the other hand, we have to remember that these are volunteers. And so you can't, like if we start being too directive with them, I think, there's some pushback or people just won't want to be on the board because they come because they are passionate about, making North Glen a more diverse and welcoming community. And that's a pretty broad vision statement. And so that can be interpreted in any number of ways. So I think if we want to have the discussion first, I'm fine with that. I just get have some concern about us being too directive with like one board or only two boards. And we aren't really like, getting on the groundwork and micromanaging, which is way too extreme a word, but other boards and commissions. So I don't want to do that for the diversity board either. So, and that's all. I mean, I'm fine with however we decide to go meet with them or meet by ourselves first. Either way is fine. And I apologize, I didn't put my speaker on, sorry. Still didn't.
Didn't even notice that. Oops, okay. Who had their hand up first? Councilmember Nowicki, I think you did. Sorry, Councilmember Roper, if you didn't.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. So I'm going to kind of put you in the middle because I'm going to take the contrary position. And I should have spoke up with the CCPP position as well. I think any opportunity to kind of hear from board members, if that's kind of the chair or the vice chair, would be helpful for me because they're in it. They're the ones kind of doing the work. So having that dialogue as opposed to us just talking about it. And because my concern there is that we would kind of make some maybe informal decisions and then it would kind of be put on them and they would kind of get frustrated with us, which is maybe why we're kind of in this position. So I do think it'd be helpful to either have a chair or vice chair there so we can kind of have that dialogue. That's where I'm at.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Jody.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. It's been a lot. It's been a long
time of the night.
week. I would tend to agree more so with Councilmember Burns. I think just for, as you were saying, Councilmember Nowicki, I think it's important for us to identify what our priorities are first and what we need from the board. So that way, when we get together, we have a clear direction and everyone is aware of their lane and what their job is. And so that way we don't go awry.
Just to clarify, that was not my position.
Would you like to
follow-up? Or Councilmember Roper, are you finished?
Yes.
Yeah, I was saying kind of having them in the discussion and kind of deciding.
Yes, I was saying the opposite of that.
Yes, okay.
Yes, I was the opposite, that we need to meet first.
Councilmember Walker, do you have any thoughts on this? Okay. Anyone else want to follow up before I chime in? Okay, so I'm hearing more of a consensus to have a discussion first, possibly, but we'll get back to that in a second. Just to address a couple of points, look, I would like to acknowledge that, yes, I mean, the whole miscommunication was around the Pride event, but it wasn't anything intentional, and we were put in a tough place because we had decided that due to the large amount of events that we wouldn't hold it, but the timing of it, of course, was, we had to change it just to make sure we acknowledge to our community that we support them and want to make sure that, you know, we represent all of our residents, and that was one of the reasons why we went back on that. But I do agree that in order to avoid maybe those types of miscommunications in the future, that we should have some type of discussion around how we communicate that back and forth. And I understand Councilmember Goff's point to not micromanaging boards, but boards like the CCPP board and the DISE board are very different. They're newer. They have a budget, and with that budget, they do events that, you know, we get obvious feedback from the city on those events, on we want this event or we don't want this event, or why are we spending funds on this event. So I do think that they're different. They're different boards, they're different compositions, and that's why we have to have these conversations as opposed to like the other boards and commissions. City Attorney Corey Hoffman, if you would like to chime in, please do.
Well, I think both of these boards were created at an odd time as it relates to COVID, as it relates to things with the CCPP board, for example, with George Floyd. Their purpose is in the ordinance, but obviously there has been some issues with how they both interpret their purpose. So to the extent that council can first, among themselves, identify what its interpretation of the purpose is when it adopted the ordinances, I think that would be helpful to then give direction to the two boards.
Thank you, City Attorney Hoffman. Again, that's where my initial thoughts are. To Councilmember Burns' kind of initial thoughts as well. I do think that it would be worth for us as a city council to have the discussion around the purpose of these boards before we meet with the board members. We are the ones that dictate the policy. The boards do not. They were created by us. And so it's important for us to make sure that the communication is clear first from our end as well. And maybe we haven't been clear enough. I do think that the work that the DISE board is doing is important and it's good. And so I want to see that continue. I think, did somebody else have their hand up? I thought somebody put their hand up and put it down. So now I'm seeing things. That's just, you did. Okay, I wasn't seeing things. Councilmember Condo, please.
I think that Attorney Hoffman just hit it on the nose, that perhaps maybe we ought to review the purpose in the ordinance, both for CCPP and for DISE board, just to make sure it is contemporary and it reflects, you know, where we're at today, post-pandemic and current situation.
I agree. A lot has changed and they both do really, really good work. And I think our city has been innovative with these boards. Many cities don't. And it just shows that we do care and we do listen. And we want to make sure that we also get it right, I think. But I guess the options are do nothing, meet with the board first, meet with the board, and then meet with the DISE board. Options number 1, number 2, number 3. I think what I'm seeing from heads nodding is we'd prefer to meet with the board first. If you are in favor, I'm sorry, to me, I meant to say that, that's how it came out, that city council would like to meet first before we meet with the board. Is that on this side? Thumbs up? Okay, we have consensus. Adam, I know you're kind of in the middle right now. You would not prefer that. Councilmember Walker. Okay, so we have majority to meet amongst ourselves first and talk a little bit about clarifying the purpose.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the last slide, which is if there's any other direction that you'd like to provide on any other items, please share that now. Otherwise, I have consensus on scheduling through July 14th. And I appreciate all your feedback.
Thank you so much. It looks like hands are going up, but now they're going down. You guys are playing tricks on me tonight. This is not a good thing right now. It's late. They're putting their hands up and then putting them down. I think you can stay 1 second, City Manager Guyer. First of all, thank you for all the work that goes into this because it's a lot. And our agendas are full. So I just wanted to make sure I say that. Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. I'm the one screwing around with you, so I just wanted to get that out there. I know that I see on the calendar that I guess next week we'll have a study session discussion on the redistricting, but I wanted to make sure that we're kind of clear that that's not necessarily going to occur before this coming fall's elections.
I'll defer to City Clerk Small on that item.
Yes,
And
please.
Options will be provided to council next week. We're still waiting on some research regarding what is possible to happen this year, if anything. So I wouldn't necessarily agree with that statement tonight without having the research that we've asked for and then considering all of the information.
Okay, so really, wait until next week.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to know if I get voted off the island. No, I'm just kidding.
That makes perfect sense to me, is we can ask all of our questions at the study session, and I'm sure there will be lots, so thank you, City Clerk Small. City Manager Guyer, I do not see any other questions. I think we are good to go on this
okay, thank you so
subject.
much.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our last public invited to be heard. This is an opportunity for public comment. Statements are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Comments must be related to an item previously addressed by council during the meeting. Is there anyone in this wonderful audience who would love to speak to council at this time? If so, please come forward, state your name, address, ward, and provide your comments. No. It's been a long meeting. We appreciate you staying with the few that are here. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else on the phone? The answer to that is usually no. Always worth asking. There's no one. Great. We have an executive session. I will entertain a motion that the City Council hold an executive session pursuant to Section 4.5D of the City of Northglenn Home Rule Charter for legal consultation and advice regarding the security for the city's utility systems.
Motion to move to executive session.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
Now, where are you?
Please vote. Did you close your votes? It's that time of night. Bear with us.
Councilmember Kondo says yes.
Okay, I will close that vote, and the motion to meet in executive session passes unanimously.
We will now adjourn to the executive session.